Should we be worried that the writer's room for the Acolyte has a writer who's never seen Star Wars? Let's talk about it. Sukuigat Acolytes, I'm Jedi Starkiller and welcome to the SK Base. Today we're going to be talking about the news that's been making waves on Star Wars Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, everywhere. The news about the Acolyte. But before we talk about that news, just in case you're not caught up on what the Acolyte is, let's just go over that really quickly. The Acolyte is a live-action series coming to Disney Plus that's going to take place at the end of the High Republic era. It's going to follow the Sith and tell us what they've been up to while they've been in hiding all this time, and should lead us into the prequel era, or at least very close. We also are pretty sure that this show is going to have a female protagonist as the main character, and that's about all the details we have at this time. And now for the tweet heard round the world. So Star Wars Direct tweeted out this. The Acolyte's writer's room included a writer who had never watched Star Wars, reveals showrunner Leslie Headland. Quote, "We kind of want to talk to her and say, if we take all the Star Wars signifiers out of it, what does it mean to you?" End quote. It is very clear from a lot of people's responses that they stopped reading after the first half of that sentence. The Acolyte's writer's room included a writer who had never watched Star Wars. A writer, not the whole writing team. Writing for television is a collaborative process. But before we speculate and get to my thoughts on the whole article, let's actually do what a lot of people haven't and take a look at the article as a whole and see what's actually being said in it. Headland mentions twice in the interview that she wanted to find people who were different than her and wouldn't just agree with everything she said. Headland wanted to have a room where disagreements could happen and they could work together to tell the best story possible. She goes on to say that she aimed to specifically find people who would challenge her artistic point of view and people that she thought could execute a good script. And I mean, isn't that what we all want at the end of the day, is a good script with a good story? Anyway, Headland refers to herself as a, quote, later in life Filoni acolyte, end quote, and a die-hard cutthroat Star Wars fan. Apparently, her knowledge of Star Wars even surprised a lot of the other writers in the room. They weren't used to a showrunner who had so much knowledge of and love for the source material. But she admits to wanting writers who weren't necessarily as versed as her in the room as well, even including one writer who had never seen Star Wars at all. About this writer, she says, quote, "It was so great because I would really love to know from someone who is not fully immersed in this fandom, what do you think about the pitch that we just made?" End quote. Now, Headland did elaborate and say that this writer, quote, did her due diligence. She did the background work and was able to provide a different sort of feedback than other writers, because she looked at the material and would ask questions that no one else thought to ask. Why is this person saying this thing? Why aren't they saying this other thing? After reading this article, I am more excited for the Acolyte series than I was before, and I've always been excited for this show. It feels very apparent that Leslie Headland, who is, by the way, like a 10-year veteran of film and television, is like dedicated to making a show that is not just a Star Wars show, but like a great, exciting television show with characters and that have wants and needs and a story that's exciting and fresh. And like, that's what we need in Star Wars. We want good stories. We want good storytelling, great characters, and we want to set that in the Star Wars universe. There are going to be plenty of writers in this room, and Leslie Headland herself, who are Star Wars fans, who are going to make sure that the Star Wars side of this is covered. I don't think we have to worry about having writers who love Star Wars in this room. But I also think it's important to have at least one writer in that room who's going to keep everything grounded, who's going to make sure that this makes sense to everyone, not just diehard entrenched Star Wars fans. Because we want this show, and really every show, to be able to appeal to a broad audience of people. We want to bring in new Star Wars fans with every show that comes out, not just this one. But this one, especially because it's also set in the High Republic era, is going to be important to making people go, wow, this High Republic era seems kind of cool. Maybe I should go back and read the books. And so it's just, this show has a lot on its shoulders. And I think it's very important that it find a balance between being just another Star Wars nostalgia show and being a show that really brings in new fans as well as satisfying old fans. So I, for one, am excited to see the fact that they're taking this show as seriously as they are, and that they're dedicated to having a writer's room that's full of both writers who love Star Wars and one who's never seen it at all. I think that's going to make for a diverse perspective on this show, and I think it's going to be great, but we won't know until we actually see the product. Hopefully this puts some of your fears to rest and makes you as excited for the show as I am, but if not, I'm sure you guys will let me know in the comments down below. So until next time, for Light and Life, for the Republic, this is the way.
You are now leaving the SK base. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And never forget, the Force will be with you, always.